And we are live. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is a Sunday, and I just had a very chill urge to go live today. And I want to talk about what to do when things get overwhelming. So, how many of you have ever been overwhelmed, or have you been overwhelmed in the past? So if you have, type me in the comments, just so I know. If you have never been overwhelmed in the past, tell me your secret. All right, because we can probably add this to our live today. What the heck just happened? I have no idea what just happened. Anyways, so what to do when things get overwhelming? So there's a story here that actually happened quite recently. So in the US, there is what's the word I'm looking for? There is a recession. So, or well, at least it's not announced, but things got a bit expensive lately, and it has affected business in a way. So, um, at least in my space, six people lost their jobs, and we've had to find ways in which everyone gets work and accounted for. So it's my responsibility to make sure that these people um, are able to work, so you know are able to feed their families in this case, right? So fun stuff. There have also been, and basically it's a lot. It has a lot to do with work, where uh, you don't really know what to prioritize first, um, in a spiral of things where everything seems urgent and important. So it's like, what the heck am I supposed to do first when everything is urgent and important? So at this point in time, where you're like, everything else in your life is like, and my camera is following me, everything in your life is forcing you to choose something that's important, something you need to prioritize first, but everything is important and urgent. So what the heck are you gonna do? So here are some of the tips that I learned over the years, um, working with, well, while working. So tip number one: breathe. So, and a lot of people underestimate the importance of breathing, um, and it's interesting because in one of my recent trips to Manila, I've shared, um, I went free diving, right? So a guy who doesn't actually know how to swim went free diving, and one of the things that we were taught was how to breathe. And well, here's the fun part: for months prior to that trip, I have stopped meditating. So, you know that thing with meditation, where if you're fine, for some reason you try to stop doing that. You know, uh, for people who are consistent with meditation, kudos to you guys. But for me, I have a habit of stopping meditation when things go fine. So this trip basically forced me to re-breathe, to practice breathing again, um, because for you to be able to go deep when you dive in open water, you actually have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You actually have to be able to put yourself in a relaxed state of mind. Yeah, so, and one of the techniques the coach showed me is what you call, um, well, I forgot the exact words, but basically it could be a silva technique where as you breathe through your nose and you exhale through your mouth, or in this case, since we're using a snorkel, you breathe through your mouth. You imagine light entering from the top of your head, and it cleansing towards your entire body, and just imagine yourself in a relaxed state of mind. So, and uh the first time I dove, basically I didn't even dive far enough. It's like I went down in the water and then went back up again. And when I finally got the hang of it, um I think I was able to dive at least 4 meters, um or uh when that happens, right? So fun stuff. So that's technique number one. Learn how to breathe. So for most people, breathing, you can just breathe through your nose. Make sure that your belly is expanding, not your chest. Okay, and exhale through your mouth. You can breathe 3 times. On the third time, you can just let it all out. And hopefully, no one dies from your bad breath. I'm joking. And yeah, that works. Okay, you can rate yourself from 1 to 10 on the before and after. So there's that. Another technique that you can do when things get overwhelming is you can actually choose to do the most the hardest thing first. Okay, you can actually choose to do the hardest thing first. Okay, now bucket why choose the hardest thing? Well, the hardest thing is probably the most important thing. Okay, number one, the hardest thing is probably the most important thing, and it's usually the thing that you procrastinated the most in doing. Okay, whether it's tough conversations with your staff or your team member, maybe it's something that involves writing. God knows I hate writing. um, Maybe it involves uh, actually going out there and making sales calls. you know do the hardest thing first, and everything will follow. Now, how do you do the hardest thing first? Well, um, Mel Robbins uses says it's the Mel Robbins calls this the 5 second rule. Okay? The 5 second rule is that you just basically do something for 5 seconds, and if you feel like not doing it anyway, then just stop. Right? So, and it usually works for me. When I do the 5 second rule, the only thing I find doing is that I ended up not stopping work, not stopping the work at all. Right? I just work for 5 minutes, and I end up doing it anyway. So again, do the hardest thing first, because it's probably the most important. It's also probably the most the thing that's holding you back the most. And at the back of your mind, here's the thing: if you choose to do the little things first, you will never relax. Okay, you will never relax, even if you think like you've checked out 80% of your list. There's always going to be this looming object behind you, that's that's basically gonna you know uh tear uh into your free time. Okay, and that's gonna cause you to not be able to be present to the important people in your life: your friends, your family, your spouse, whatever. Okay, you're not present because at the back of your mind, the biggest problem is what's keeping you there. Okay, so there's that. And the final technique that I love doing when things get overwhelming. Okay, if breathing doesn't work, If doing the doing the most dangerous and most crucial thing first is keeping me, like the fear of doing the the most important thing first is keeping me from doing anything, I do what I call the jumping into the abyss technique. So what is the jumping into the abyss technique? uh, I I say that because in my mind it's like quite literally me just jumping into the abyss and hope everything goes goes fine, right? So what I found out by facing my fears, free diving, walking on fire, um, asking someone out, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Um, Getting that client, right? Or negotiating with tough conversations. One thing I find out is that the worst that you think about never usually happens. Okay? The worst that you think about never usually happens. And it only happens when you let the when you procrastinate on the important things, right? It only happens you allow the monster to grow over time because of fear, right? You allow the monster to grow over time because of fear. I mean, if, like, for example, especially with tough conversations, right? Um, Things would not escalate badly if uh, the conversation was done um, immediately or early on. Not unless, of course, there are certain techniques there, um, as well, but not unless you're aiming for someone to make a mistake first, right? Then sometimes you have to be patient, right? But jumping into the abyss just means that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna stop trying to control my life. I'm gonna let go and let grace, God, the universe, or whatever take over. And I'm gonna trust that whatever happens um, after this is for the better of me, my community, and the people around me. Okay, because I'll basically ask for guidance, strength, and courage to trust in source, right? Trust in the good of the universe, that it has um, my best interests in mind. Okay, so conjuring, setting the intention, and all it really is just setting the intention, attracting the kind of outcome that you want. Okay, by inviting the sorts of energy that you want into your life, right? So number one, and just allowing yourself to trust in powers that are you know higher than than your than your ego, basically. So trust in things that are more powerful than your ego to be able to guide you towards the right outcome. And you may not see it immediately, right? Let's say the outcome of facing your fear is pain, right? Or separation, or separation, disappointment, whatever. Um, Whatever that, you may not see it immediately, but somewhere down the line, you would say, "Oh, damn, dodged the bullet there. My wounds could have been deeper there," etc., etc. Okay, so three things: breathe, okay, do the most difficult thing first, and then just, and if you're scared to do the most difficult thing first, just throw yourself into the abyss and hope that the and trust, not hope, but trust that the positive forces in the universe is going to be out there to support you. Okay, so that's it. See you guys.